Are you looking for macro capabilities for your Hasselblad 907 or your X2D? Well, you can have it with a macro lens that Hasselblad makes. It's a 120mm f3.5 lens, but that costs you $4,500 US. Or you could actually convert any X-mount lens that you have that works with your camera with just one small tiny flat device here, and this is the 9mm extension tube that Hasselblad makes. So this was launched a couple of months ago. You may still have a lot of problems trying to get your hands on it. I got mine from Hong Kong. I can't remember the Hong Kong price, but basically it retails for about $300 US. Now with this, you can convert any of the lenses that you have, including this 38mm, this 28mm, basically any lens that can go on your X-mount system, you will be able to convert it. So then you will be able to get this shot, which is punched in all the way, from this shot right here. Now, so how does this work? In short, it increases magnification dramatically from any lens that you have so that you can take macro shots. Now, do note that it removes infinity focus, so you cannot really focus for longer distances. Your focusing distance will actually be dramatically reduced. So there are contact points on the ring, front and back, so that when you mount it in between the lens and the camera, all the focusing, every piece of information is still going to be passed from the lens to the camera. And one of the best part of it is that it's actually stackable in pair for even higher degree of magnification. You cannot stack more than 2, it will go up 2, but already as it is, one of it is already pretty hard to use. And I'll show you in a while when I get to the demo, which I will involve the use of this positive potato as my model. So like I said, you can use it with either the 907X or the X2D. Now the lenses, any of the V series lens, P series lens, E series lens, X series lens, they can all be used as long as it's an XCD lens. Now even third-party lenses, it can be used also. Well, I do have a couple of third-party lenses. You do have to use electronic shutter because the shutter is not built into those third-party lenses. I've not tried that out, but yes, in theory, it should work. Now the question then is that of the entire list of all the lenses that Hasselblad makes, which one should you use with this extension tube? So my choice, my weapon of choice is actually this 28mm. This is the 28p f4.0. And why do I choose this? Well, let me go through for a couple of things, right? So first of all, the minimum focusing distance of this lens on its own without the 9mm extension tube is already at 22 centimeters. Now, when you add in the 9mm extension tube, the focusing distance actually drops to 13 centimeters. So you're gonna get punch in really close to the subject. The magnification without the 9mm extension tube is actually at 0.17, but with the 9mm extension tube, you're going to go up to 0.52. Now, 0.52 is already better magnification than the stock macro capabilities of the macro lens that Hasselblad produces. So let's go do a demo of this particular combination, and I will show you what I mean by the change in the focusing distance and the effect that you can get out of this. Okay, switching over to this view, what we have here is positive potato. So I'm using him as the model, and this is perched right at the correct height for the 28mm that is mounted on a Hasselblad 907X. Now, this is the minimum focusing distance of the 28mm mounted on this camera, which is about 22 centimeters or so. So let's take a shot here without the 9mm extension tube. Okay, so we've gotten a shot. Now, this is the 9mm extension tube. I'm going to dismount the lens and fix up the 9mm extension tube. Okay, so there we go. Okay, after the 9mm extension tube is mounted, you won't be able to get focus at this distance anymore. So you really got to punch the camera up very close. Very close. Let's get to the minimum focusing distance where you can still achieve focus. So this one you won't be able to focus anymore. Alright, so this is the distance where you can achieve focus. Right, so as you can see, the image is a lot bigger. Let me take a snap and there you go. So this is at a magnification of 0.52. Very, very close to the macro capabilities of the macro lens that is dedicated from Hasselblad. Now, just note that the distance from the lens to the subject is probably only about 5 centimeters or so, maybe up to 6 centimeters. And to the sensor, it has dropped from 22 centimeters all the way down to 13 centimeters. So that is actually very, very low. So to the lens, to the front of the lens without any filter, it is at 5.6 centimeters. All right, so now you have seen that. Are there any other lenses that you can consider with this? Yes, of course, there are other possible combinations that you want to do. So for the largest magnification that is possible, you will want to maybe try the 20 to 35 mm. That is one expensive lens, but with the extension tube, you're going to get 0.56x. With the 25V, you're going to get 0.53, and with the 21mm f4 lens, you're going to get 0.59, which is pretty impressive magnification. Now, all of the lenses that I've just mentioned will exceed the magnification of the 120mm macro lens that Hasselblad makes, but the focusing distance is the problem. It is very, very short, right? It becomes about 16 centimeters or so. So basically, between the 16 centimeters measured from the sensor to the subject, you are almost getting right up close to the subject. If you are trying to focus and capture insect macro, live insect of course, then you got to get really close, and that will possibly disturb the insect and it will fly away or run away depending on the insect. And lighting is going to be very hard because at that close a distance, you can see that you are going to be blocking out quite a few sources of light, so you may not be able to get the best effect if you're trying to do macro photography with this 9mm extension tube. And in that particular case, maybe the 120mm macro lens from Hasselblad will actually do the job much better. So Hasselblad produces a chart, and this chart, it shows all the lenses when it is combined with the 9mm extension tube, one or in a pair. Now, if you look at the full chart, it measures the distance from the sensor to the subject as well as from the lens to the subject. So different lengths have different length, so it might actually affect the distance to the subject, how close you're getting up to the subject. Well, I think the chart is a little bit too complicated. I will actually simplify it for you. So this is the chart. I'm going to put a QR code maybe right here. You can scan the QR code for the direct link to the chart that I've put up online so you can see it for yourself. But basically, I have summarized it, and it only shows the distance from the subject to the sensor, right? And it shows the magnification at the closest focusing distance on a single extension tube, because you can't even get one extension tube. How are you going to buy two, right? They're so out of stock and sold out everywhere. Now, I've color-coded the chart a little bit. So if you look at the yellow cells, they are the highest rated parameter before using the 9mm extension tube. So anything that is below 25 centimeter focusing distance and 0.5x magnification, I've highlighted it in yellow, and that is before using the 9mm extension tube. Now, after you use the 9mm extension tube, the second set of two columns there, you will see that I highlighted those in green that will give you the highest rated parameter after using this extension tube. So anything that is below 25 centimeters focusing distance and 0.5x magnification, it will actually be highlighted in green. So you can see a lot of lenses are actually being brought into the territory of the magnification capabilities of the dedicated macro lens that Hasselblad makes. Now, in blue, I've highlighted the amount of improvements that you can get to the minimum focusing distance as well as the magnification. So the most bang for buck you will see that is actually the 21mm XCD lens, putting it at one of the highest magnification, even exceeding the 120mm macro lens without the ring. Now, for the ring, the least bang for the buck will actually be for the macro lens itself, because it improves very little. There's really not much else you can do to the macro lens. And but if you do decide to add it, then you can be sure that it will give you the highest amount of magnification. Now, if you have the 28p, right, this is probably something that you want to try. If you have the XCD f421 lens, then you will be quite stunned by the amount of magnification available. If you do already have the macro lens, then it doesn't do much more for you, so forget about it. So for $300, and if they have it in stock, then buy it. It is actually great fun, and it allows you to shoot macro, assuming you are shooting inanimate objects that won't be scared off by the close focusing distance. You should have quite a bit of fun. I hope you have found this video useful. If there's any other things that you want to see on my channel, do reach out to me in the comment section below, and I will try my best to produce a video for you.